Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network, and we are coming to you remote today from the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. It is the Mackinac Policy Conference put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, and that's what we're up here for. And that's what you ladies are up here for, right?
Indeed.
All right, so let's introduce ourselves. That's a good way to do it.
Yes. I am Britany Affolter-Caine, and I'm the Executive Director for Michigan's University Research Corridor.
All right, and don't grab for the mic.
Theile, Vice President at Anderson Economic Group, Director of Public Policy.
All right, there you go. And so being up here, I mean, there's a million reasons to come up to this place. Everybody's here. What is your mission? Let's start with you.
Sure. You know, Michigan, we have some amazing things going for us. The URC, my institutions are one of them. They're the three R1s in the state, research intensive. That's Michigan State University, the University of Michigan, and Wayne State University. So we have a lot going for us, but we also are facing some significant challenges, which this conference usually wants to bring to light and come up with some solutions on how to move forward. And so clearly the URC, our institutions, I have two of my three presidents here, really involved in that discussion and talking about how can we work better, smarter, and move Michigan forward.
Okay. So what does your research show?
Well, we've had the privilege of researching the University Corridor for 15 years now. So we've done economic impact analysis annually as well as benchmarking about biannually. And it's a really commendable thing that the URC has committed to doing. It's really tough to pick out the best research corridors in the country and say, let's peg ourselves against these guys and see how it's going. We're the only university research corridor, is the only entity. Michigan is the only one with an organization like this where it's public universities, and the outcomes that we're seeing show that these schools are really competing at a world-class level. And so our report shows that for example, medical degrees, it's not like a ranking in that category at all. The URC is just way ahead. Mobility, that's another one where the rank almost doesn't matter. The URC is just doing a really great job. And then lastly would be just student enrollment and graduation. It's the largest network of talent being developed in the United States. So when you talk about agenda for being up here, part of my agenda is to be inspired and get information for all the analyses I'm working on throughout the year. And so when we talk about talent and the talent pool we have here with our 3 research schools and then our 15 public, if we can do more to keep the talent here, we'll be in great shape.
So when you were talking about comparing against peers, would that be like the research triangle in North Carolina?
Yeah, so it's 7 clusters around the country, all the best of the best schools that you would think of. Texas was added more recently. That's an interesting one to be pegged against because their population is growing so rapidly while we're struggling with stagnant population. So it's really interesting to see the different dynamics in place in different states and how we're still competing.
The interesting thing is, from the report that they did this year, and again, they have 15 years they've been tracking this, it really, particularly on the talent side, Tyler's work in AEGs got fed into the release today, the Richard Florida report for the Detroit Chamber that shows the URC institutions, frankly, are educating more students than any of these top clusters around the nation. And that came right from this report, as well as doing world-class research at scale, which is really critical. Michigan is a top 10 state for academic R&D, and it matters to our industries.
Oh, no, it absolutely does. As a matter of fact, one of the knocks we used to take in the state was that we weren't putting enough into R&D, and that was mostly the private sector.
Yeah.
So, supplemented through the educational sector.
It's important to actually do both, and so oftentimes do it together. Certainly, more sponsored research would go a long way, I think, in getting a lot of the discoveries from our universities quickly into the market that way.
Well, the other thing you've probably seen this in the research is that a lot of the private sector knows what they want, but they do go to the universities to have the research done.
Right, so when we analyze research and development to tech transfer, we look at the R&D in three different categories: basic, applied, and innovative. And the applied research is really what ends up out into tech transfer, right? That's where entrepreneurialism and businesses are benefiting. And in Michigan with the URC, despite ebbs and flows with the pandemic, challenges across the country for different reasons, we're still third in applied innovation. That's when you don't even include the basic and the innovative. And so that is really amazing. That means we are doing the most to get that applied research out into our economy.
Well, you know, you hit a hot button with tech transfer, and I know that Michigan has always done a great job with that. Michigan State has really come on in the last 5 or 6 years for that. How is Wayne State doing?
I think that they are certainly making improvements. But, you know, at the URC, we don't want to spend a ton of time on each individual. They're doing the best they can to improve wherever they start from and where they're going. I think what's really important is to acknowledge that we certainly do need help from the private sector and from the state, because in Michigan, we lack just the ready, available patient capital. And so too often we're losing those wonderful innovations coming out of our institutions, getting pulled to the coast, or worse, shock and horror, Columbus, Ohio, because that's where the available capital is to support these startups. And so we are under the gun, frankly, to do something in Michigan together to ensure that we are funding, we are supplementing, we are funding that gap to support our startups and our innovations.
Can I add something there? I mean, when we talk about federal research and development funding, and you know AEG, when we talk about economic impact, we're very conservative about it. We only give credit for dollars that you're bringing into your study area that would not have already existed there. And so when we talk about federal R&D dollars that the URC is bringing into the state of Michigan, that is billions and billions of dollars of investment in Michigan that certainly would go to our competitor states without it.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Better to have it here, right? Britany, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Chris.
Keep up the good work. Thanks for keeping us updated on the data. You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, coming to you from the Mackinac Policy Conference on Mackinac Island, put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. We'll be back.